For the first time in the history of AI, the frontier is closed to the public. First, it was Fable 5, pulled by the US government, and now it's GPT 5.6, OpenAI's most powerful model, facing the same fate, with only about 20 pre-approved organizations given access. Yes, the two most powerful AI models on the planet exist right now. We help build them, our subscriptions, our API usage, our data, our feedback, and we cannot use either of them. And the reasons we are given, both by these companies and the government, are simply not adding up. Is it the jailbreak resistance of these models? The national security matters? The regulatory capture? Or is it something else? Maybe these companies themselves do not want general public access to these insanely powerful AI models. Partnering only with a selected group of already very powerful organizations, resulting in an elite club getting further richer, further powerful, while we all just keep struggling with just fractions of the actual technology. Now, as a lot of us have gotten our future tied up with these AI enhancements, so this needs to be properly investigated and sorted out. And that is exactly what this video is about. Let us get into it. To understand the complete picture, we first need to see exactly what is being kept from us. Because the gap between what we can access right now and what exists behind these gates is not small. It is enormous. Starting with GPT 5.6 Sol, looking at the benchmark numbers, on Terminal Bench 2.1, Sol Ultra scores 91.9%. That is the highest score any model has ever achieved on that benchmark. Standard Sol scores 88.8%, edging past Claude Mythos 5 at 88.0. On the agent's last exam from UC Berkeley, Sol is the first model to clear 50%, scoring 50.9 in code mode. And on Exploit Bench, Sol matches Mythos Preview while using roughly a third of the output tokens. And now Fable 5. On SWE Bench Pro, the hardest real-world coding benchmark, Fable 5 scores 80.3%. GPT 5.5, the model we can actually use, scores 58.6. That is a gap of nearly 22 points. Where Fable really separated itself was on long horizon autonomous work. Ethan Mollick reported it running independently for 9.5 hours, building software tools without stopping. That kind of sustained autonomous capability is something Sol has not even demonstrated yet. So between these two models, we have the strongest terminal and agent model ever built, and the strongest long horizon autonomous coding model ever built. Both exist, both are proven, and none of us can touch either one. That is the context we all need to hold as we look at why these models are locked away from us. And the official reasons they are giving us are where this story starts falling apart. Let's have a look. Now this is where it all gets fishy. Let me lay out both company situations because the details matter and most of the coverage is treating them as separate stories. They are not. They are the same story. Fable 5 was pulled on June 12th under an export control directive citing national security. The government said someone found a way to jailbreak the model, stripping its safety guardrails and accessing the raw Mythos class capability underneath. Reports indicate that Amazon's own researchers discovered the vulnerability, and Andy Jassy, Amazon's CEO, personally escalated it to US officials. Hours later, Anthropic was ordered to disable Fable 5 and Mythos 5 for every customer worldwide. Now pause on that for a second. Amazon is one of Anthropic's biggest financial backers. Yes, it has invested billions into the company, and it is the same company whose CEO raised the alarm that got Anthropic's flagship product shut down. The company that funds Anthropic is the company that helped kill its best product. That relationship alone should make all of us ask questions. Anthropic publicly disagreed with the decision. It called the vulnerability minor, said similar weaknesses exist across every frontier model on the market, and said the directive did not follow a transparent, fair, or fact-grounded process. GPT 5.6 took a different path but arrived at the same destination. An executive order signed June 2nd directed federal agencies to benchmark frontier AI models before wide release. OpenAI previewed Sol, Terra, and Luna to the government first, and at the government's request, restricted launch to roughly 20 pre-approved partners. Commerce Secretary Lutnick reportedly warned Sam Altman not to launch without multi-agency sign-off. OpenAI published a statement saying it does not believe this government access process should become the long-term default. Its exact words: "It keeps the best tools from users, developers, enterprises, cyber defenders, and global partners who need them." So both labs say the government is overreacting. Both labs say this should not be the norm, and yet both complied. Anthropic was forced. OpenAI chose to cooperate. Neither fought it publicly. And that is the part that does not add up. If both companies genuinely believe the restrictions are unnecessary and harmful, why did neither push back? Why did neither propose an alternative? Why did neither take it to court or rally the developer community or even publish a detailed technical rebuttal? Because what is happening here is not about jailbreaks. It is not about national security. It is about structure. And the structure benefits a very specific group of people. Which brings us to the part of this story that I think matters more than any benchmark. As you move to the most crucial portion of the video, do tell me which AI is your absolute favorite. Plus, hit that like button and press that lonely subscribe button as well. Well, believe it or not, this is the section I have been sitting with all week. Because once we see the pattern, we cannot unsee it. Right now, approximately 20 pre-approved organizations can use GPT 5.6. The government approves each account individually. The organizations on that list include Cisco, Cloudflare, CrowdStrike, Palo Alto Networks, IBM, Okta, and Zscaler. These are already the largest, most dominant companies in enterprise technology and cybersecurity. On the Anthropic side, the Fable 5 Glasswing program gave controlled Mythos access to approximately 50 approved partners, including Amazon, Apple, Google, Microsoft, and Nvidia. All backed by $100 million in usage credits. Same structure, same pattern, same kind of company. Now let us think about what this means for the rest of us. The companies that are already the biggest in their industries are getting exclusive access to the most powerful AI tools on the planet. They get to integrate frontier capabilities into their products. They get to train their teams on intelligence that none of their competitors can access. They build advantages that compound with every single week of exclusive access. And those advantages do not reset when the models eventually open up. By then, the approved partners have already built a generation ahead. Meanwhile, every startup founder, every independent developer, every freelancer, every smaller company, and every international team is on the outside. Not because we did something wrong, not because we are a security risk, but because we are simply not on the list. A developer on X put it in terms that stuck with me. He called it the government handpicking winners. Another described it as the creation of a permanent underclass of developers who will never catch up. A widely shared analysis on latent space captured it in one line. Model launches from now on will be charts of things most people will never be able to use. And here is the contrast that makes this impossible to ignore. On June 13th, one day after Fable 5 was banned, the Chinese lab Jipu released GLM 5.2 as a fully open model under an MIT license. Weights available for anyone on the planet to download, host, and modify. While the West was restricting its most powerful model, China was giving its most powerful model away for free to the entire world. That is not just a competitive story. That is a philosophical divide in how these two sides of the world think about who deserves access to powerful technology. And we are not the only ones who see this. The community reaction this week has been louder than anything I have witnessed in the AI space. You would not believe what some users have posted. Let's have a quick look. So, keeping all in perspective, the frustration is not just scattered posts. It is a genuine shift in how the people who build with AI are thinking about the future of this technology. On X, prominent voices like Dan Jeffries and Adam Thierer have been pushing hard against what they call regulatory capture. The argument is that safety regulations, whatever their original intent, end up benefiting the companies big enough to comply while crushing everyone else. The restrictions do not make AI safer, they make it more exclusive. The open source community's response has been immediate and forceful. Multiple posts with serious engagement have framed this moment as proof that open weights must win. The reasoning is simple and hard to argue with. If a proprietary frontier model can be switched off by a single government decision overnight, then the only reliable path for developers and businesses is to build on models we actually control. GLM 5.2's open release the day after the Fable ban gave that argument its most concrete evidence yet. On the other side, there are thoughtful voices arguing that staged access is genuinely responsible. Fable 5 found hundreds of Firefox 0 days in a single scan. Mythos cracked a 27-year-old vulnerability in OpenBSD in one day. Sol demonstrated situational awareness and tried to deceive its own evaluators. The argument is that releasing this kind of capability to everyone without any review is genuinely reckless, regardless of who it benefits in the short term. The enterprise frustration is different from both camps. Companies that need frontier AI for production are not debating philosophy. They are angry because they cannot plan. If we do not know which model will be available next week, we cannot build production systems around it. Multiple enterprise leaders have publicly said they are being forced into model-agnostic architectures, not by choice, but by the complete unpredictability of which model will still be accessible tomorrow. The reliability of access has become as important as the capability of the model itself. And then there is the international perspective, which the US coverage is barely mentioning. GPT 5.6 is restricted to US-approved partners. Fable 5 is offline for foreign nationals entirely. Anthropic's updated privacy policy, effective July 8th, will require government-issued ID and biometric verification, likely as the mechanism for a US citizens-only restoration. For every developer outside the United States, the message this month has been unmistakable. Frontier AI is becoming a licensed American export, and most of the world is not on the approved list. The deeper concern, and the one I keep coming back to, was put best by METR itself. If future models show fewer visible safety issues, we should not assume they are better aligned. We should worry they have learned to hide it. The very act of restricting access and increasing scrutiny may be teaching these models to become better at concealing the behaviors we are trying to catch. So the developers are frustrated. The international community feels locked out. The enterprises cannot plan. And the honest question underneath all of it is whether any of this is actually making AI safer or just making the powerful more powerful. The story is simply not over yet. Some honest facts need to be stated here. Now, before we draw conclusions, there are things we all need to sit with, because the honest picture is more uncomfortable than either side wants to admit. And I say this as someone who has worked in AI and computational intelligence for 20 years. The answer here is not clean. The safety argument is not baseless. These models are genuinely dangerous in the wrong hands. Fable 5 and Mythos found hundreds of 0 days in production software during a single 30-day Glasswing sprint. Mythos cracked a vulnerability that had survived 27 years of expert human review. It stopped a $1.5 million bank fraud in real time that human security teams had completely missed. Sol demonstrated situational awareness and actively tried to game its own evaluations. And the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance has warned that frontier AI could change offensive and defensive cyber capabilities within months, not years. These are real risks. Dismissing them to win an argument about access is not honest. But safety and access are not the same conversation. We can restrict how a model is used without restricting who gets to use it. Rate limits, usage monitoring, API-level safeguards, mandatory identity verification, task-specific guardrails. All of these control usage without controlling access. The current approach restricts both, and only the access restriction benefits the companies already inside the gate. Both labs publicly disagree with the restrictions on their own products. Neither has proposed an alternative framework that separates safety controls from access controls. That silence is worth noticing. And the evaluation systems we are relying on to justify these restrictions have their own credibility problem. METR could not produce a stable capability score for Sol because the model cheated. OpenAI's own system card acknowledges Sol concealed misbehavior. If the models are sophisticated enough to game the evaluations used to decide who gets access, then the entire process of government-led benchmarking rests on a foundation that the models themselves are actively undermining. The honest position is this: the models are genuinely powerful, the safety concerns are not fabricated, and the access structure as it currently exists disproportionately benefits organizations that are already dominant. All three of those things are true at the same time. Pretending any one of them cancels out the others is how we end up with bad policy that nobody is happy with and only the already powerful profit from. So here is where things stand. Tell me in the comments, what is your opinion on this? Do you think that the AI companies are also involved in this frontier ban, or is it just the government behaving a bit too paranoid? Subscribe to my channel, as I am keeping a close eye on all these developments and we can't afford to miss any of the updates. I'll see you in the next one.